What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we'll be talking about Neptune in the 12th house and what it's like to have Neptune in the 12th house in your astrological natal chart. So, let's get into it. What is Neptune? Neptune is the planet of dreams, fantasies, illusions. It gives us insight into those things as well as shows us ways in which we can spiritualize our life. The 12th house. The 12th house is originally ruled by Neptune and associated with the sign of Pisces. So there's a natural resonance here. And the 12th house is the house of spirituality, isolation, self-undoing. It corresponds to things like hospitals, jails, asylums, all those things, all right? It also corresponds to our activity beyond the physical realm, so the astral realm and things of that sort. Okay, so like I said, it's a natural correspondence here when Neptune gets into the 12th house, and with this, and Neptune being dreams, fantasies, it gives the individual a very, very fertile imagination. And for many of you who follow me know that I like to correlate a lot of this stuff, a lot of these placements towards the womb, right, and the overall pregnancy of the individual's parents. So the 12th house really represents the womb, and what I gather from this position is that the individual had a good experience within the womb, or was rather comfortable spiritually. Okay, now I feel like many other people may have had this like experience during their spiritual journey, especially having become a parent and witnessed life come in. I know for myself, in the moment, I realized how traumatic that is, and how the difference in tone of the 12th and the first house is. So imagine the 12th house, like I said, beyond this world, isolation, your meditation room, you're in your meditative state in the womb, and then it's time to come out. You're kind of ripped out. So nonetheless, the Neptune in the 12th individual carries the internal rhythms from the womb. So granted, every pregnancy and is not going to be the best. So there will be unconscious things that the child channels from mother, but both parents. Okay, so what you'll find is that the chart of this individual is greatly influenced by what was going on with the parent or parents at the time. So the Neptune in the 12th, like I said, can give a great imagination. It shows this connectedness to life, a natural sensitivity. So there are natural empaths come, from here. The people with the ability to absorb a lot around them. So like I said, I feel like for a lot of you, you should really examine the nature of your psychic connection with a particular parent. So i.e., if this is like Neptune in the 12th in Sag, you may be very psychically connected to one's father. Okay, and the next layer of this is the early environment has a huge effect on how this Neptune in the 12th kind of plays out. So it's a very malleable position. And that's something that I want you guys to really keep in mind here. The person with this. You always have the ability to reinvent yourself and shift vibrationally. Okay? So there's almost like with a Pluto or 8th house thing, there's a theme of rebirth and constant transformations with this Neptune position. Okay, but the early conditions have an effect on it because this child is very, like I said, sensitive, but soaking up the conditioning around them. So what I've seen is that you'll have the individual placed in some type of spiritual environment, right? Now, very like it'll be where it could be your parent just simply being a spiritually in tune person. So you've never went to church, right? You just always you never saw your mom go to church or your dad, but you believed in something, right? Maybe an example like that black person who grew up celebrating Kwanzaa instead of Christmas, okay, but wasn't actually religious. There, you're placed in some type of spiritual background. Then you'll have the preacher's kids and the kids who are constantly at church, right? And then those are normally indicated by squares to the ninth or the third. So the conditioning, right? And maybe that 12th house person kind of rejects that. Nonetheless, later in life, that early conditioning, like I said, if it's in a spiritual household or something, it comes to the forefront. Like when you have your spiritual awakening, all those things that you didn't understand early in life take on like a deeper spiritual understanding. Okay, so with that said, you have the other side where the early environment may have been terrible, right? And speaking of Neptune and Sag, these are the kids who grew up in the crack era, okay? So you could have that negative influence from the environment affecting just the overall energy. So naturally, what you have is the Neptune in the 12th person needing a way to cope. So I wanted to say with this position, it's very, regardless of your sun sign, you're going to be, if you have Neptune in the 12th, you're going to be, there's a very strong Pisces, let's just say Pisces sun element to you. Like, people may not necessarily be able to guess your sun sign, or they may feel like you're naturally a Pisces or something like that. How you come off may be, there's a mysterious aura about you. Okay, now needless to say, this is right here, right? 12th house, first house. And remember, people, a question I always get too is like, let's say your rising sign is 3 degrees of a sign, and then maybe your Neptune is at 27 degrees. So still in your 12th house, but quite close to your first house. You're going to get the effect of both, because Neptune will be in that position conjunct your first house, but in the 12th. So you're going to get 12th house experiences, but when it comes to first house expression, you'll still feel some of what a Neptune in the first feels. So there's a need to develop the ego and the self, because one can be detached from that or be unsure of who they are, how to express that. Okay, so like I said, if yours is like one of those conjunct the ascendant but in the 12th, you may shapeshift a lot. Maybe what you have here is a path. Like I said, it's similar to like the 8th house and Pluto, transformation, turning pain into power. So what I'm getting to is Neptune in the 12th really gets to meet their shadow. So you can literally have someone here who, I'm giving you various scenarios, in their early 20s or something, is a prostitute, is a full-blown drug addict, a drifter, just lost, okay, doing things that you would be shameful of, right, at one point. And like the low, Neptune in the 12th might bring you to the lowest of the low, all right? So like I said, it's a Pisces feel to this, but it is there, you kind of are able to see the light, or in this case more so with the Neptune, through time, and when that spiritual awakening hits, that transformation occurs. So think Malcolm X in this scenario, okay? A spiritual transformation of that nature. So what I'm saying is you have to hit rock bottom in order for the spiritual awakening to be triggered, okay? It's a lot with this. It's a lot with this. Another thing that I was going to say with this, so then that story, right? Because when I channel y'all, like, it's so many things come to mind. So for those of you, and you guys could go look at it, but there's also something that's connected to this. Like, there's a writer out there. His name is Iceberg Slim. Look him up. He's a pimp. He was a former pimp. He was a pimp turned really successful writer and good writer. His stories were fucking inspired by real experience, okay? That's Neptune in the 12th. You could live through some crazy, or another one, Catch Me If You Can, filmed by Leonardo DiCaprio, based on a real story. That's Neptune in the 12th. Having lived through some shit or been one person in life and then come out like on the other side with a perspective or spiritually enlightened, okay? There's another element to this too. Like I said, if you have ninth house, fourth house action with this, relocating, starting over, and all the things that it comes to recreate an identity in another land, okay? Lots of stuff here. But another point I wanted to make was about, like, substance use. It just is what it is with positions like this. These are the people who are going to experiment. So, Neptune in the 12th is like, I'm here for it. Like, there's a naiveness to this position. And that naiveness is very much so, it's just a part of it. Like, when you study Neptune in depth, you see that you have to be disillusioned for the thing to become clearer. Okay, so if you have this position and you have been through some things you are still not over or dealt with, release those. Take this perspective part of what I'm saying and the other stuff and forgive yourself. You got to be able to do that and like shift out of that perspective, okay? And then, of course, this can be a great position for, like I said, people who are like spiritual healers of all kind, but provide perspective. Even like with that, like I said, that in the way like that dude Iceberg Slim did, the perspective of a pimp. That's some 12th house shit like you don't think about. You know what I'm saying? Or like or imagine a former sex worker, industrializing themselves, Neptune and Capricorn type thing, stuff like that. All right. So this is my interpretation of Neptune in the 12th. It was a great series. I go through these things. We're gonna do the toxic energy series. So recognizing toxic energy through the zodiac, as well as other things. I got a Mercury series coming. So yeah, y'all, we working in all of that. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so now. If you need a reading, click the description link, send me your email. We'll set something up. Till next time, peace.